Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the battlefield analysis of the situation over in the Pokrovsk front. So apparently we still do not have any more additional information since the shocking revelations from the Ukrainian mapping Deep State UA that first came out of this news that the Russians have basically broke through the Ukrainian lines in two separate lines in the north of Minokhrad. Minokhrad is over here. This is Pokrovsk. And this breakthrough since the initial report, we still do not have any more information about this. Pro-Russian source Ryba has also echoed exactly what I have said in my reporting in the Frontline Changes report, that there is no reliable information since that can verify what the hell is happening right now since the breakout, and also that everything is now under a very heavy fog of war. It's Ryba, the pro-Russian source, which is the open source intelligence in Russia that I most respect, happen to echo exactly what Defense Politics Asia is saying. So I'm very happy that we actually still continue to have very similar analysis, and that just shows how reliable or how much I trust Ryba. So so this is the current situation right here, but we do have additional information currently. So the Russian forces have actually continued to establish more control over Donetsk. They have attacked into it. They have also expanded the zone of control around Nikhanovka, which the Russians have announced that they have captured. I have mentioned a long time ago, the main objective is to cut off this road. So there is this main road that links all the way. This is Kramatorsk and Sloviansk, the two big cities that is one of the prize targets, objective of the Russians. This one leads all the way out towards another, I think it's Pavlograd or something. So anyway, this road coming down south into Pokrovsk and links to Minokhrad, and this is the road that the Russians are trying to cut off. Currently, they are on the verge of cutting it off because they have reached into Donetsk. They are likely to cut this off. The aim is to prevent a Ukrainian withdrawal northward. The aim of the cutting off the road, instead of cutting off this one, which the Russians is a lot closer to for a long time, the idea is to prevent this withdrawal and to force the Ukrainians to withdraw out of Donetsk Oblast towards the Dnipropetrovsk Oblast. And the Russians have established this line at Kotliny Udashny and south of Pokrovsk for a long time. They could have attacked. They could have done this attack long time ago, but they chose not to. They did not want to do this because they realized that if they do this, what will happen is that the Ukrainians will just withdraw northward and establish the next defense line over at Dobropilia, Kolozhies, and then they will just continue this attrition war endlessly. So, and then that will just play into the hands of the Ukrainians. So the Russians basically have established this encirclement, and then now they close this road, they cut it off, and then they probably will likely to continue to go west and attack towards Rishine, establish some kind of a border like this or front line like this to force the Ukrainians out westward. So, and that will push the main force that is currently entrenched in Pokrovsk and Minokhrad entirely out of action in the Donetsk region, unless they go one big round to reinforce the lines in the north. Currently, the Russians have already broke through. Fighting currently is confirmed to be at Kolozhies, confirmed by the Ukrainian map report, the Ukrainian Defense Ministry report that the Russians are attacking right here. So the extent of the thing is unknown. I did mention in the Frontline Changes report why this is the case. First thing first, the Ukrainians do not know what the hell is happening right now. I saw some comments, they disagree, but have you been in the military before? Have you worked in intel in the military before? You don't. So yeah. So but I did. So no, I'm just sharing. Information is not what you think. Especially if you've been through military, you probably know probably if you're a bit higher ranked, maybe as a sergeant or something, you will have to do SITREP, situation reports. You need to inform the higher ups what the hell is happening. How much ammo you have, how much men you have, what equipment you have, what have you done, and do you engage with enemy? Where do you engage them? How many enemies do you see? All this kind of information. But if there is a breakout into your rear positions, there is no man, there is no people defending in the rear position. There's probably sporadic troops here and there, maybe in checkpoints or whatnot. Then the information will become very messy. You have to understand that the commanders are largely getting just a slightly better map than what we have right here, except that they have all the units on the map. But the thing is that they don't know where the units in details are. It's not like a real-time strategy game. It's not like Command and Conquer or StarCraft or what. You don't see your units on the ground. You only see the logo of largely where are they, and then you just assume that they are there. But the thing is, if there is a breakout, then where the Russians are, they don't know. How for example, the situation in Pokrovsk, Russian forces penetrated into Pokrovsk. The Ukrainians have no idea where are they. They do not know how to stop them. They get ambushed themselves. And then when they realize or they know where exactly they are, they launch artillery strikes and at Pokrovsk, at their own city that they are controlling. That's how chaotic information is, in actual warfare. So when the Russians do a breakout, the Ukrainians, especially in rear positions, most likely do not have a lot of drones. I think the drones are largely operating more nearer to the front line. So they have to also figure out. And even if you fly the drone, you may not necessarily know who is who. You have to do a lot of referencing to see, is that a Russian soldier or is that a Ukrainian soldier? And they have to do a lot of analysis. The intel guys on the Ukrainian side have his work cut out. So another thing, so as a result, when the Russians have a breakout, they know that the Ukrainians have a lack of information as to where the Russian troops are. And honestly, even the Russian commanders need to be informed where their troops go. So even the Russian command may not necessarily know full details of where their assault troops are. So then if they have drone footages, to capture some of their operations, where the soldiers are, they're not going to put it on the internet, because if you put it on, you're telling Ukrainians what they don't know. So that's the main reason why there's lack of intel. So for now, I think we just have to wait for a front line to establish. At this moment, we don't know. We don't know where the front line is. And the front line probably still is not established yet. The Russians are still running around, and the Ukrainians are trying to figure out who is who. And this kind of situation is very, very dangerous, because you may cause a lot of friendly fires. And this is something that happened early in the war in 2022 when the war broke out. It's super confusing for the Ukrainians themselves as well. I was doing the mapping. I was trying to figure out where the hell the Russians are. No one knows where the hell is the Russians. And they all use the same weapons. They use the same vehicles. So it's very confusing then. And they use the same weapons as well. So now it's slightly better because both don't have anything. The Russians still have stuff. The Ukrainians only have NATO weapons. So slightly a bit more easier to identify. So now that we have this, let's look at what the hell is happening also generally. There is some reports from the Russian side saying that the Russians are actually going for Dobropilia. So this is one of the potential track. And another one is actually probably could potentially go further up north. Something like this. Go further up north, totally ignoring Kramatorsk and Sloviansk, to basically break into the open grounds and then probably cut the other road. The other main road that is leading to Kramatorsk and Sloviansk, which is here, pretty far away. but it is doable, when the Ukrainians don't even know where the hell is at the enemies. Another possible operation could be to flank east, going towards Druskivka. This is like an intermediate city before you reach Kramatorsk and Sloviansk. This would be useful to hit into the rear positions. If they overrun the position, they can able to hit the rear positions of all of these defense lines that the Ukrainians have established to defend they are defacing Bakhmut. They are facing Bakhmut, defending against a Russian push from the east. So by attacking into the rear, it is possible to destroy all of these fortifications and cause the Ukrainians to do a mass withdrawal or get routed from this position, because they'll get very confused, and that could also put a lot of pressure on Konstantinivka over here, as the Russians could now cut off retreat route towards the north, force the Ukrainians into an early reconsideration of the position. But of course, this action is going to take some time, because you need to take Druskivka first. It's a big city. It's as big as Pokrovsk. So it's not so straightforward to say the Russians are going to take Druskivka. Not so simple. Another push currently happening is over in the Pokrovsk region, and then of course the Russians are already trying to close up the salient over here. There's a river here. The Russians have already cut off this road. The Ukrainians can only come out here. So they're probably going to drive the Ukrainians out this way. So this is currently happening in the Torex front. So a lot of and then of course the Russians are pushing in the Chasivya region, Stupovsky, and close down at Dilievka. That is all happening right now. So that is a separate operation, but the breakout could potentially help out in the operations to take back Konstantinivka. But in my opinion, it's not necessary. The Russians should just push north. I heard rumors that military summaries say that pushing north is pointless or something. I don't know. I don't watch military summaries videos. The main reason is not I don't like him. The main reason is because I don't want to get my own analysis dirty, like when you hear other people's ideas, that it influence and taint your own analysis. So that's the reason why I don't even like to talk about Ukraine war with other YouTubers. Like I used to have a group chat with a military summary, with Union, NWE, and I literally tell them exactly the same thing. I prefer not to talk about the Ukraine war. Let's talk about personal stuff, fun stuff. I don't like to discuss about Ukraine war because it creates groupthink. It creates a bubble. It's not good. So which is the reason why I don't watch military summary. But the thing is, a push north makes perfect sense. As I mentioned, why you need to push north. This northern push, I have already mentioned this more than a year ago. Actually, if you remember, if you guys are the OGs, you have been watching it for a long time, I already said when did I say this? When I was saying that there is zero reasons for the Russians to attack Kramatorsk and Sloviansk. There's no need to attack Kramatorsk and Sloviansk, because fighting in the city only destroys the city. The idea should be a flanking operation, a pincer through Izium, and then hit this northward push from the Pokrovsk region. Of course, in the past, I didn't necessarily say that it must be from Pokrovsk, because I mentioned this before Pokrovsk front was even a thing. I said this long time ago that the Russians should hit into the open ground, link up from another push coming from the north through Izium, and just pincer and encircle the entire of Kramatorsk and Sloviansk. That it was what I said. And that was way before there was a Pokrovsk front. Pokrovsk wasn't even a thing. That was so long ago. So the northern push like this always had made sense to me. And if they break out to the rear and the Ukrainians cannot defend and they don't know where the Russians are, and the Russians can flood in enough troops into this opening, then the Russians could potentially capture a lot of these open grounds. And I've checked the mapping through this through the Google Earth, this Google Earth, by the way. is super flat. It's a very flat ground. So it's not gonna be that complicated. If it's there's not much defenses, then the Russians can just go on. And yeah, then the end for the battle for Donetsk will come way faster than trying to push a very frontal assault, trying to attack from Bakhmut all the way to Sloviansk, Kramatorsk into Konstantinivka. That's just stupid. That's basically what Ukrainians done in 2023, counteroffensive by smashing themselves into the wall on the Zaporizhia line. That is stupid. Don't do that. So coming back, gelling the old, analysis of what I would have done as a Russian, and then coupled with the current situation where the Russians are cutting off the northern road, everything gels. So cutting off the northern road, going up north, breaking into the rear positions, forcing Ukrainians west, all makes sense. So it's just a matter of what the Russians is going to do, because they have a lot of options right now, like going for Dobropilia, going all the way up north, or going towards Druzhkivka to join in the operation to encircle Konstantinivka. Is all possible. The thing is that the Russians, from my experience, tend to be very unpredictable. Like, it's very hard to tell what they're going to do. For example, now we have a breakout. But from experience, the Russians tend to be very slow. They tend to be very good. They tend to move at a very comfortable pace, rather than doubling down on success. Very rarely that the Russians double down on the success, like what they have done in the Kursk front. Like in the Kursk front, they go through the gas pipe, they emerge, and then totally collapse the whole front line. The Russians sometimes don't do this kind of thing. They have some success and then they slow down and then they just do this slow crawl. And I think that for the Russians at this point, they should double down. If they don't, then more people is going to die, because the Ukrainians want to attrition the Russians. They want to fight this war for as long as they can. So, yeah, I mean, of course, the Russians have the firepower advantage. They will attrition the Ukrainians more than the Ukrainians can attrition the Russians. But yeah, the window is closing in a way. In some ways, it's not like the Russians cannot win the war militarily, but the window is closing in the sense that this negotiation with Trump's goodwill in continue this negotiation with Putin, this window might close. Of course, we do not know what Trump is going to do. Trump is also just as unpredictable. He may cut off aid to Ukraine, or they may double down on the war. We don't know. But I don't think he would per se, but he will incentivize the Europeans to double down on Ukraine. That is a possibility. Although the Ukrainians with what men, I do not know. But the incentive for the Russians is to capture as much ground as possible before some kind of agreement about in the peace talk or with the Americans will be established. Capture as much ground as possible. I think that is what the Russians should do if they really want to get the maximum out of the peace deal. So anyway, this is the just a battlefield analysis of this entire front, from the Pokrovsk front leading on to the Donetsk Konstantinivka region. So anyway, let me know what you think in the comments about this analysis. Anyway, happy birthday to you if your birthday today, and press the like button, subscribe. We are just, let me see how much how much subscribers. We are only 200 plus to 100,000 subs. So subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next update. Happy birthday to you if your birthday today.